this will not be like I'm interviewing you. I just want to talk with you because,
Yeah.
like, I think we have only corresponded with each other in comment section or on some videos or something, whenever in real life.
Yeah.
You've been so hot lately.
It's a good thing, I guess, right? It's
It's good.
I don't know how or why, but it's kind of the way it is.
So I watched like some of the videos, and I want to comment, and I'm like, there's finally someone who thinks very, very clearly similarly to me. So I have basically the same stance on PEDs, and it's like the video that I didn't watch the second video till the end. I watched the first. I watched it today, second time, just to refresh my memory or everything. But it's good to hear when someone comes out and says it like it is. It's a huge advantage. A lot of people will use it to come into the sport, shoot for the stars in a year or two, and disappear into darkness. And we have seen this so many times before, basically.
Yep.
My reaction to it is I'm like, just let's start doing testing. Like no testing and some testing, there's a big difference. So like my first encounter was like 2013, WAF Europeans or Worlds, and there were a very low number of doping tests they were doing. Next year they basically did 80 tests or something like that. And the guy I met year previous, he looked like, like he still weighed 70 kilos, but it looked like he lost 20. Mm-hmm. And I remember 2013, and it wasn't for me such a big difference. I took that hand, I lost so fast. Next year, I just powered to him because it will end up lining up the level a little bit, closer to reality. There's still going to be, users, and we know that. So what's the situation in States with that? Are there any testing or?
No, what's going to happen is they say that, as you go through the WAF process that they do test. But as you know, people, it's like rolling the dice in Vegas. People will show up saying loud and proud and bank on not getting tested.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are people there that are running as hot as ever, and they just hope they don't. Or educated enough that no, hey, I'm going to this tournament. I can get all these gains coming up to here, and if I clean it up for however long, depending on the life of whatever they're doing, they can go in and be perfectly clean through a test when 11 and a half months out of the year they've been running gear. So really, there's nothing in the States. We're of a mindset that people want to see the freaks. People want to see, the exaggeration of what the human form can be. And, I get it, but coming from an athlete and trying to see what's out there for people, I mean, when is enough when you have guys doubling their body weight, guys gaining, 20, 30, 40 kilos in a very short amount of time? And I think there's some great athletes and great characters out there that are getting the short end of the stick because they look like B pullers, but that's only because people that would probably be B pullers or even lower surpassed them and kind of stopped where they could be. But here in the States, I don't know how it is on a world level, but they just care about winners, and they like to, bury their head in the sand on a lot of things for the most part.
Yeah, I don't believe that part about freaks. Everyone's like, yeah, we want to see freaks. So I was just in Dubai arm wrestling with Larry. Larry, like, he has come out with all his PEDs and everything, and everyone knows. And he looks huge. And, I just beat him. I think that's more spectacular, however you look at it. I don't think so. It's people going to be people anyway. We're still going to have freaks like Levon, but he's still going to be big. And there's a lot of guys like Richard Lupke still going to be big, it doesn't matter.
On that note, right, when we say don't want to go on the witch hunt, we are mentioning specific guys.
Yeah, because they're big.
But I mean,
because they're freaks.
Levon was an adult pulling, 80 kilos as an adult?
2030. Yeah. Yeah, 90
You're
kilos.
talking 100 kilos in like 6 years as an adult.
Yeah.
Me as an adult
Yeah.
walked into this sport at about 195. Me, 15, 16 years later, is depending on my thickness or where my life is at the time, it's only like 10 pounds difference. So when you get guys, I mean, you could see videos of some of these guys, even Richard Lukey's arm wrestling at 220 as a man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard. It's hard because now you get these people that are paraded as freaks when really it's like, okay, is it them or is it all the other stuff? I mean, that's where I'm kind of that's where I'm at a twist over it.
Okay, I got you. So yeah. To be honest, yeah, I have to think long and hard. Where I will not think about someone not using something. Yeah.
Same thing with Dennis. I mean, Dennis isn't a mystery for us. I mean, I think everyone, because he was the real exaggeration of everything. But I mean, they treated him like he came into the sport out of nowhere. But I saw old videos where he was like about 200 pounds and getting smashed by like 150-pound Ivan Matyashenko. Now, Ivan's a great puller, but you're talking, look at what Denis Cyplenkov went on to become.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's really hard. There's a lot of pullers that are under the radar. They used to be 154 pullers, but they slowly went up 65, 76, 98. And all of a sudden you look back and you're like, that person was a person for 220? Wow. So some people do it short term, some people do it over a very long span of time, but for me it's really hard to line up those people that I would say, like, congratulations.
Where's the line?
Yeah. So it's just something I feel like it's not talked about, and I feel like I'm in a position to talk about it because these other guys are scared to talk about it because people come at them and say, hey, just because you suck and can't win, don't blame it on steroids or don't blame it on that. So as soon as you start beating everybody, you say, well, I don't need to make excuses because I'm winning. But this is still an issue. So it's almost like you have more of a stance because I'm not patting a loss over it. Where I'm winning, I can actually now say, I've been fighting this. I am having still very real.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. It's not enough people talk about this. They kind of sweep it under the rug. Everyone's always with this perception like, everyone on top uses, and it's basically diminishing skills and not only skill but also persistence of the guys that've been doing it for 20, 30 years, still on top, still trying to reach the top. And we always get this question: can you become world champ without steroids? And I'm like, yes, because I saw it, before my eyes. I know you can win Zloty Tour, maybe not super heavyweights, but every class under without steroids. I know you become WAF world champ or W. It doesn't. I know it. I have seen it. I have lived it.
You have to be a special person with a special work ethic, and that's not for everyone. You can, but that's like the outliers. I mean, like Giannis would probably have a lot more titles under his belt if you could have thinned out the crowd of guys, made it more difficult.
Yeah.
Not saying he's not still at the top, but I'm saying like the guys that really were in contention with dominating the class, he might have had a much easier run.
Oh, sorry, I have to switch some things up a little bit. Yeah, that's true.
And the same can be said about a lot of great athletes. You can get there, but it's not just guys who can get to the top. How about the guys blown out of the water and go 2-0, and they get frustrated and think the sport's not for them? When if it was a more level environment, they might have been more in the mix and stayed in it and pushed with it and become somebody. You don't know if people get pushed out because they feel like their path is going nowhere. There's a lot of layers to how it affects people. I had a guy after my video send me a personal message thanking me, saying he has a son that's a young son, probably has high level of testosterone, that was so frustrated with his progression or lack thereof, he already hit that plateau, And this is a young kid, and he was actually open and talking to his dad that, like, the only way I can progress is by going for it like everyone else is. And it's almost like you talk someone off the ledge a little bit where you don't know. This is a young guy. This is a guy like in his late teens and 20s. And he's feeling people are passing him that shouldn't. He can't make the ground he could make. And this guy was really right about there to go to the dark side. And sometimes that little bit of, like, you know, it's out there, and at the very least, someone's going to recognize it and fight the fight.
Yeah. It's like my experience, basically, where my experience and how I noticed that basically you can achieve most things you want without, using anything. I was just starting my journey in strength sports and everything. I think I was 18 years old, maybe 17. I think 17 or 16. I was benching 100 kilos. And, you kind of stuck there for some time. I was weighing 65. And I'm like, and I go on these forums and I read basically like, you reach your genetical potential. Like, that's it. Nothing. You have to use this or that. And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't look like it. It looked like these are things that, athletes, get banned for. I'm like, because I'm young, internet is still new. There's nothing really going on in Latvia. So I'm like, I'm just going to continue training to 110, 115 in 2 months. And I'm like, well, I don't need this bullshit because I like you told me, and I just break through that plateau. And after that, it's been like, every year I can maybe add 2.5, 5 kilos. If I change something in technique, maybe a little bit more on my bench. But it's a slow process for the last 14 years, to get to 200 bench. It's a slow process. And everyone was like, oh, like he must be using. I'm like, I'm doing this for 14 years. Have you seen my grind?
But you see, this is where it'll chap your ass. Is when you see a guy who has potential might not even be at, say, that 100 pounds where they hit the plateau. But then they get on the right gear, and then in a year and a half from now, 2 years from now, a fraction of the time it took you, they're pushing 150 kilos or 250 kilos. That their progression passes yours when they might not have even ever got up to yours. So, I've seen guys with my own eyes that will use 300 pounds as an example, could not bench press 300 pounds. They get on the right gear. Now, they hit their limit. They were stuck there. A good day, they might get 300. A bad day, 285, but 300 seemed to be their cap. They go get on the shit. 3 months later, they're repping 300 like it's a warm-up. They're pushing 350. And that's just a regular guy. That's not a competitive lifter. That's a guy that's at your local Planet Fitness. Or
doubling, tripling your strength, basically. That's doubling, tripling your strength.
People don't understand how much even 30% makes. 30% on a decent regular household athlete might take you from having a good lift to in contention for some world-class lifts. Because there are some strong guys out there just floating around that are regular, but 30% is a humongous difference in the strength world. You look at something like a curl number. Somebody can do 70 pounds. That's good. That's going to be stronger than most guys in the gym. You add 30, 40, 50% of that, now you're in contention for world records in your weight class. You might be breaking world records. So that little bit extra that it does, it's insane. It's insane. It really is. And what it does up here, those are things I touched on. Is something to be said about feeling the best you ever felt, doing things you never did, and then it's like intoxicating, and you really go in places believing you are untouchable. You don't have those insecurities and stuff. There's a lot of layers to it, and that's why I fight the fight, because I'm at a point where I'm like, my part of my legacy can be, do I want to be the guy who was a great middleweight, the best middleweight, one of the best? I still think I got those years ahead of me, but I'll be the person if I can help change the landscape for the people coming up and make it better. I have 5 kids. I would like to see them follow in it, but I don't want them to follow into muddy terrain. And, I would like hard work. I'd like to be able to look my kids in the face and say, hard work, dedication, all things we preach. I feel bad for these people that got to preach that to their kids, knowing that hard work and dedication wasn't good enough for them.
Yeah, they just took that extra step. The thing that's always, frustrating is when you're losing. like our arm wrestling community in Latvia is pretty clean, so I don't have good references there. But I remember in bench press, I started and there was no testing. So there were always these freaks, and I invest so much of my time, and I'm genetically gifted for that. I believe it because it was just going up very easy for me. And I'm still trying to beat them. And sometimes I lost, sometimes I won. But like now, basically, I'm winning and winning because we're testing and everything else. But I remember at that time, a lot of guys were not as good as me, and they were not on gear. And they would like there were three guys in the class, that they just couldn't beat, they just couldn't reach. And if you took those two out, or brought their level down, they would be in that conversation. And it kind of breaks heart. It's usually persistence prevails. We need to be persistent in arm wrestling. Like I always say, like if the funny thing about Giannis is it took him really 12 years to become world champ. 12 years of consistent work. He's still training every day, daily, 2 hours, 3 hours. We have these. Nothing changes in competition, off competition, for local tournament, for world class tournament. People keep forgetting it, and they wanna look for easy way out of it. And I really love the process. I love everything about training. I love competing. I love all of it. And I know a lot of guys that are on gear. They get very very lazy. They like, I'm so strong, I don't need to do this anymore. And I don't think they enjoy the process as much as I do. How do you see it?
They need instant gratification, and training can get very mundane when your gains start to seem like they're maybe hovering normal. And like you said, working a whole year at a lift for 2.5 kilograms. I mean, that means at some point in the year, you could even feel like you go down a little bit. Some days you're going to come in and feel a little weaker, and then you might pop back up to normal. And then just to finally hit that point where you rise, I mean, 2.5 kilograms in a year, when you really put the work in that you put in for a year, seems like a crazy amount to chase, but that is the realities, and it takes a lot of work to get there. And most people don't have that kind of fortitude to push through that boundary. And that's a character thing, which is another attribute of a top athlete that gets overlooked by people who. That's something special in a person that can push and grind and push and grind and feel like they're getting nowhere, but have that self-talk and self-belief that they will. And that's something that doesn't get enough love, because all we see is results. We're so changed by results.
We see this.
Yeah, we see everything. We just want to see results. We don't care why. We want to just say, show me the results. So that's another layer to it.
I will not ask you anything else. Just show me the results. Like this is how you got there. You won that match. That match was tough, and you forgot about like 3 months period for preparing for that match. We kind of skip forward many steps in arm wrestling, and the PD is a big problem. I really believe it. It's a big problem, and just let's do some testing. For every major organization, it's not about freak factor. We're long beyond that. We can live without freaks. We know it. We can show great arm wrestling. We can show, however, the arm wrestling will look from different perspectives. But I don't see why we need it. I don't see why we need to keep not promoting clean arm wrestling.
Yeah, and that's going to be part of the progression. Everybody thinks like where WAL is now and Igor is right now, that's like as big as it gets. But if you want to look at like, let's get a little bit bigger. Let's not put the ceiling on ourselves. What if we want to be like soccer, like the NFL for football, or baseball, the NBA, or hockey, or anything UFC, that's like a big organized money sport where you get guys that are all we're athletes. We're getting paid like athletes. We're all getting taken care of. Inevitably, there will have to be a process to take that step. So we're really big for those leagues hovering in murky land down the middle. But if you want to be those guys, the landscape will have to change. There's too many questions that will be asked, too many ways that can go sideways. I mean, so it's all about, how bad you want the growth, or are you comfortable in your lane?
Yeah. I believe like the UFC did the right steps on changing, the USADA and everything else with the testing, I believe the league shouldn't. Maybe not that extensively because it's kind of getting sometimes ridiculous, but you need it, affordable version of it. And I don't see the problem with like doping tests usually was they're expensive to do. And I'm like, can't you, like we're doing now, we went from, I don't know, $50 COVID testing to $1 testing kits. I'm like,
Right.
can we do the same, to make it faster? So basically everyone in competition gets tested, You don't need to find the pictograms. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But you know what I mean. It's kind of silly.
Yeah. We had a guy that I was just in the States, Simon Barachoa, and he had given this whole breakdown that he started a testing company because he deals with WAF and everything, just to prove how viable and affordable it really is. I mean, he got it to a point where tests were only like, I don't want to, quote this, but if I remember, it was like $30 or something for a test. And people are saying that it's way too expensive. But the problem is that short-sightedness and the instant gratification. Promoters don't want that because it'll drive out so much of their entries, because promoters want to get paid today. They want to get paid for this event. And he said he opened a company that was a testing company, and he had very affordable tests, and not one person ever came to him. Because if you can get 200 entries at an event, or if you say, hey, this is going to be a tested event, everyone that walks that door is going to test it. Now what are you going to get? 20? So nobody wants that, really. It's not a problem of getting it free. This is like curing the common cold. They could have cured the common cold 100 years ago. The problem is how many industries would be out, from tissue companies to cold and flu medicine to sore throat lozenges. The cold's not really killing many people, but all the industries around it to help alleviate its symptoms are way more lucrative than curing it.
Yeah, that is
you
true.
You got to think about that. It's like a money mill.
Yeah, it always is. It always is. There's always money and stuff. Like for guys cheating the guys that get caught in WAF or European championships and basically under WAF, the country will pay you. To if you win, they will pay you. They are incentivized. I'm always looking at it. I'm like, if one of my guys want to try to cheat, you have to have a real good system, when you come in clean and everything else, and then you have to pay for your stuff, and then you never get that money back. You will never get anything back from it. So it's usually the countries that we see that getting caught, especially WAF Worlds, those are the ones that are getting paid for it because they really need it. They really need it. But if the tests are not tested, I'm looking at it. I'm like, I'm waiting for a big promotion to start doing it, either WL or PL, because they're talking about it like for 5 years already. We're gonna do it. It's never gonna get done.
Well, this is kind of the direction I'm kind of headed as we speak. Where the original riff with me and Ryan Bowen, I said, I'll pull you, and the asterisk was 6 months, year, clean blood testing, and we'll put up this huge amount of money. And the reason I put that huge amount of money up there wasn't because I was trying to scare him off with the money. It'd be because if I was going to take a match seriously, train, do all those things, I probably wouldn't be doing wall. I probably wouldn't be looking at top 8 if I ever wanted to venture there, or Zloty. You're looking at preparing
50,000.
50,000, but really 50,000 isn't me putting up 50,000. It's like when you play poker. You put $1,000 in, I put $1,000 in. That's called a $2,000 pot. So it'd be like we both put in like 25,000, whether it was by sponsors or ourselves. And over the course of a year, we would be taking testing regularly, good testing, and that gives somebody long enough to get the gains and stuff out of their system or whatever it is. And then that's a year. And so $25,000 over a year is not a crazy paycheck. People think I put that number out there to scare somebody off. But if I had 3 or 4 championships with Wall, what would I be getting? If I had, if I went to top 8, what could I get if I placed well? So I'm looking at it as I'd be cutting off all those lanes for myself, but I'd be getting a tested opponent, and I'm trying to be a groundbreaker to put out a quality, good match out there, but I got to find the person that wants to run that gamut with me.
Okay, let's touch a little bit like Ryan era. So he kind of tries to jump through like over everyone straight to the top. So if WL calls you and says like, we want Ryan give a championship match, do you think he deserves the championship match? You know, under WL.
No, of course not. No, and I would fight that fight for the guys that have a better spot. I mean, I would like that match because I feel that he's less qualified than other guys, so I would want an easier paycheck. And like I said in other videos, that doesn't mean he's an easy day. It just means it's easier than some of the guys on the roster. But I mean, how can you literally have every outing out? I've yet to see him do something that's like wow factoring, other than playing numbers, playing angles, playing weights, 44% gains. I have not seen a result yet. And every other person on the roster has bona fide results. I mean, you got to get in the trenches and do it. I'm not an elitist that says wait in line, but the truth of the matter is he's yet, other than practice videos we see and things that you don't know what are going on behind the scenes, I've yet to see him earn it. So, no, I don't think he deserves a shot. I think he should be in the trenches with everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. It's Armwrestling, like you can say what you want to say, you can lift how much you want, the table will show the truth. And you cannot skip forward just because you feel like you can, you know. I'm like, I feel so good. Like, they might be days where I wake up and I feel like I might be the strongest guy ever today. That doesn't mean it's true, you know. You have to go and pursue it and keep doing it constantly, prove everyone that when there is no question or you're already in conversation. So Ryan is kind of, especially there in full lockdown, they basically cannot travel outside. So he's just, you know, I'm so strong, no one can beat me, and he cannot leave for 2 years. It's like, I'm like, just kind of ridiculous. All this
has he ever been at a point in his career where he was the strongest guy in his own country? Was he even there? I mean,
I don't know.
He's never even beat Danny Tesh.
Yeah.
You're not even the best guy in your country, in your weight class, and you're trying to now take on the world. It's like, buddy, take on your neighborhood. You know, like I said, I'm not an elitist, but the angle he's coming from, I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, it's I don't like that kind of approach too. I always just, you know, like your results will show when you win tournaments. You know, when you're consistent at winning, when even though you fall off, you know, ride the wave however you want. That's where results are. Talking doesn't show results. Just like it's kind of. I kind of get frustrated with Ryan. I'm like, what else? What are we gonna hear today about all this situation? And he's getting better, 100%. He looks like he's getting better. He's strong, but I believe like before he gets even close to you, he needs to have Justin Bishop match. You know, Justin. Yeah, that should like before. You know, even someone. Let's not talk about Ryan. I think you're already on that subject, and you know, kind of getting.
I mean, it's all agreeable. It's just, I think somebody's. I don't know what the angle is. I'm not as versed in YouTube or social media or anything. I don't know if there is an ulterior motive. I'm assuming there is, but I do also believe that in his heart of hearts, you know, if you get up in a small bubble and you're thrashing all the guys you train with, you start to
feel like top on the world.
Process is that you're just a step above everybody, and you think that equates to everybody in the world. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's a big world out there. I used to have a guy that was that I used to know, and he used to brag and pump his chest. He goes, I know any gym I go into, I'm the strongest guy in there. I can bench press 285. And I'm like, in your little gym, you might look strong because you're loading on 2 plates plus. But in the great wide world, there are guys in your weight class that are probably benching 500. There are guys half your weight that are benching twice as much as you. So it's a big world out there. And as soon as you get outside of your little bubble, you start to get those harsh realities real quick.
Yeah. It's I think you kind of said it correctly. You know, if you train, you beat everyone. You kind of feel unbeatable. but it's still no skipping forward. Go have your tournament wins, and we'll see. So everyone always asks me the question like, where do you rank RVJ? And my truest opinion is I really don't know. It's very hard to rank you because I have seen you only. I can rank you based on perception of the guys that you're facing, and those guys haven't going out like outside of USA pulling. So are we gonna see you pulling, wherever? It should not be Zloty. It can be many different, but how do you look at it?
Yeah, this year I'm actually really looking at kind of if I have good years ahead of me, and I believe that coming into this year I could be the best I've ever been. And before I picked up an injury that kind of slowed me down and put me down here, I was kind of on a good trajectory where I was competing with some of the best heavyweights we had. So I feel like I was at a really high level, and then I got hurt and it kind of knocked me down, and I'm getting back to there again. And I think I'm competitive anywhere in the world, and it's a place where I'd like to prove it. So depending on what happens, we get one life to live and one chance to do it, and I don't want to be an old man full of regret. But I'm not saying that I'm not looking over the fence, peering overseas at what Igor's got going on, or Zloty, or, I'd love to see where I stack up with some of the guys that, have a legacy and legend of their own, where they come from. I see Rustam, Sasho, Zoloev, Angarbayev. Who knows where these guys fall with weight classes and stuff. My ideal climb will be to just take as many notches as I can to see where I am, because I feel like I have a lot of progression of my own I could do. People look at my time in the sport and think that I'm at the ceiling, but I've had so many different life circumstances that there's a lot of areas that I could really improve on. So if you take somebody that's already, at a top of the heap type of sorts, and you give them a lot of room to improve, where do they land? So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in keeping my mind open to other productions that will give me the nod worldwide.
That's great, because I said I'm not. I want to see you full outside. I want to see you like, and I think for an athlete of your caliber, you want to see like, can I pin Rustam? If he gets me in hook, or what can I do versus Sasho? Because right. These are like the big names here.
Yeah, those are multi-WAF champions. These guys won Zloty. These guys are super legends, right? So yeah, there is that curiosity.
Yeah.
And I'm not close to it. I'm not owned. I'm not closed. I'm kind of like, I'm wide open to looking at my options.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because I was kind of expecting you to be in Zloty 2 years prior, 2019. There were some talks about it, and I'm like, oh, nice. We'll finally see it. Media answers like, finally we'll see. And it didn't happen at the end. And just look opportunities if there's opportunities, and you're kind of making your social media presence bigger from non-existent to big. And this will at least give you some opportunities, to test yourself. It's like for us, talking, it's about test. I don't care who wins or losses. It's you win, impressive. You lost, okay. What will you do next? From outside they look like, oh my God, he's a winner or loser, and it's not. Arm wrestling is kind of it's kind of silly that Michael and Levon couldn't pull each other on a practice table. Because that's kind of what we do. I always say, imagine if we were boxers, kickboxers, UFC fight. You cannot go and spar with anyone. I can arm wrestle with anyone without any problems. My arm's gonna hurt when I arm wrestle Michael Todd, but it's still fun.
You can get a pretty good idea on a practice table if you're both honest with each other. There are those people who say, practice doesn't mean anything. And of course, if one guy's tired of getting slayed on all day and this guy steps in. But if you guys are curious about each other, like if you and Giannis grab each other, or you and any one of the other guys, Vlad, grab each other, you get each other. If you're honest with each other and give yourself an honest grab, you're going to know exactly how that's going to play out if you give yourselves an honest grab. That everyone I've trained with, that I practice with, and I give them an honest grab, I know exactly where I stand with them. It's never a different. People want to say, oh, well, practice doesn't count, this and that. How did we all start off an arm wrestling career? No official win. Feet on a table, pinning guys in a bar or, a construction site or whatever. And I mean, that's a win. A pin is a win. And yeah, I'm with you that there should be no reason it can't happen. And, I said go for it.
I always say that the practice helps the guys participating in it. It doesn't help anyone else around, because if you both get the same information output, it really, like, who's going to use that information better? What eventually we will have a match.
Right.
If if we're close, that's big. But if you look from outside, like, there's so many of these, like, oh, he beat him in practice, or that, like, now, because I was just from Dubai, and they're like, yeah, it's so weird. Like, Michael was kind of struggling with Larry, and just he beat Ray so easily. And I'm like, the effort. There's a difference in effort you're gonna put up. There's differences. So yeah.
That's part of the evolution of the sport that I say makes this sport so difficult. Because if somebody's intelligent and they feel something, somebody could get wasted and then 3 months later go home and be like, what did he do to me? Why? They might be watching videos, they might be losing sleep, and they might go tighten up an angle or a little muscle they got exposed, and then 3 months later they have that same match and it goes to a weird place, and all of a sudden the game's on. Because the sport's always evolving, and who you pull today is not necessarily who you pulled, for better or worse, even a month from now, 6 months from now. You beat this guy now doesn't mean you're going to beat him a year from now. So it's always evolving. That's the interesting thing that I love about it.
Yeah. So sometimes we will see guys that beat someone so easily, and they will have a super match set up in the future, and they get too arrogant. They're like, never gonna. And either they go in such a deep waters and lost that match that's so, spectacularly visible for your flaw of confidence. When you had that confidence for no reason. So tell me, what's training in COVID times for you right now? How's it looking?
Through the COVID the past year, I haven't done a whole lot. I got my seating area, video game area right next to my gym. So periodically, if I watch something, I saw a cool lift or feat of strength, or I have a handle that I want to yank on and pull on, I would do that, but not a ton of actual working out until we cross the new year, because I'm like, it's time. I think things are going to open up, and it's time. And that's not out of being, part of it was being out of lazy. We're locked in the house. I'm in the basement, kind of down and depressed. And I started up a little business over the end of last year, and we kind of took the winter off. So I was kind of in relaxed mode. So, but when I started getting to moving the weights again, I feel that time off made me very muscularly strong. When you fully heal and everything heals, everything tightens up. So I feel muscularly strong, but the conditioning's low. So, like you do a set of pull-ups, you feel like a horse. You can put weight on you and everything. But then my second set, I might be able to do only 6 or 8 with my body weight, where usually you can go set after set after set. So conditioning's low, but I feel like with the strength base I have now, and I got a little bit of extra meat on me, which I'm not happy about, because I was always a super lean person. And I was
How much?
Pretty lean. Probably about 220, maybe 220. 225, just kind of letting myself get thick. And I think if I started working out and lifting heavy and, just want to going to practice, I'd be down to 210 in probably about a month and a half. But okay. I'm getting on the horse. But for the last year, I've been kind of just.
Yeah.
When I grab things, I feel strong, but I'm strong for a hot minute.
Yeah, so it's the thing with arm wrestling is usually, when someone comes back from, I don't know, they arrested or something, and they come back, they're usually so strong on table because the tendons and everything is tightened together. And when we're kind of in this bubble or circle of training, you kind of never really are, completely healed. And right. I believe a lot of guys, I'm meeting right now, I'm like, you feel amazing on table for that one session.
Right.
After that,
Yeah.
after that, it's like
Yeah.
2 months of building everything up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always say, I'm like, just let's not go hard. Let's go very easily. Ease into it, because you will feel much better at the end of it. So the COVID times kind of helped with that. Of course, it didn't help with
From
anything else.
one angle it helped. Another angle, it's kind of like a rebuild as far as my just endurance, conditioning, even feeling real comfortable on a table again. Because where I was training on a table, we were working with people that all, either had compromised kids or adults that they were training with. So training kind of was like not an option for the last year. But now that things are starting to mellow out, we're back to training and I'm back at it. But yeah, it helped in the area of just probably body health and strength. But the condition, feeling my hand blow up after just a couple minutes of grabbing people when that was never an issue before. So I'm confident it'll be probably a month and a half process. I'll be in a good place, but it's humbling for these sessions.
That's good. That's it's always the body comes back very fast. That's what I noticed for me, for everyone who's been doing it for years, especially on table. But the starts, it's kind of when the hand blows up and you don't know what to do because you're so not used to it. You're like, you cannot grab, cannot do anything. So let's say they set up a date, 6 months in future for you for some super match. How would your training would look like? How many times a week and how many hours you train, if that's not a secret?
Yeah, no secret. A good programmed trainer. I kind of train. I think I would benefit from an actual science-based training routine, kind of like, you hear Todd Hutchings talk about the West Side Barbell powerlifting type routine, and I know a lot of people who swear by it and say it's a good way to make gains and track gains. So if I was to get a serious match, I would think that I would treat programming a lot different and specialized, and I would take the time to really just, sometimes I'll do a workout and then later on that day, if I'm feeling good, I'll do something specified. Like I just want to just keep grabbing things and crunching them with my wrist, just make it ridiculous. And that could be 5 days.
So you do basically general preparedness, something like that, together.
Yeah. I don't train for a specific person for the most part. Lately, these past few years, I feel like if I could bring the best version of me, I could make them dance my dance. Yeah, it used to be where I'd be like, oh, well, he's doing this, so I got to do that. And, I started watching people like Travis, where Travis's mindset was, Travis always did what Travis did. You had to figure out how to stop him. So I said, well, that makes my training more simplified. And even like Rustam had a very simple move, but it was so efficient and crisp and powerful, just being able to just pull everybody and just suck them in, and that was it. Didn't matter who he was. He could always suck them in and put them in his lane. And it got me thinking, if you're strong in these areas, then they got to worry about what to do. So that simplifies kind of like the moves you're doing and focus on in training. And in basic 3-4 days a week, a day of pulling, but it's been a long time since I had a routine like that.
Okay. Pulling once a week or sometimes?
Yeah. Coming into this year as so I'm in between two really good training groups, and they're spaced out, like one's on a Wednesday, one's on a Sunday, so it gives you good days in between. Coming into this year, if I'm feeling good and my progression's coming back and my arm's holding up for it, I'll do 2. So
okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Listen to my body. You just got to listen to your body.
Yeah, it's for everyone. Even though we have some idea, how training should look. It's always look like if someone says this is not a huge volume and it's huge volume for you, it's like you should follow your body on it. So I saw your daughter arm wrestling. I saw that match and I saw the measurements and everything, and I see how excited you are for her getting into arm wrestling. Is she excited for arm wrestling? Is she like?
Yeah, she loves it. She's been asking me all the time. The real funny thing about her is I've done very little work with her. I just told her to pull her hand. But, you know, people have natural ways their body wants to move based on their strengths. And she's just got that whole pronation and the hand just wants to go like this and roll is something that came just, that's how her body wanted to move. So as she just does it with playing around through the years, going to tournaments, I've worked with her very little because I don't want to force her. But she's very excited about it. She's really looking forward to taking the step. But, I mean, she just turned 12, and I'm seeing her grab full-grown women, like people at, say we get to a family party or get-together and holiday get-together, and these full-grown women that will do, like, CrossFit, they're very fit, will be like, oh, I saw your video, you know, let me just feel you. And as soon as they grab it, I mean, her hand is, like, man-big, and it's strong. Like, her flat hand is, like, it doesn't really want to move. And if you closed your eyes and felt it, you would not think, you would think you were grabbing an amateur coming into the sport man as opposed to a little girl. So, yeah, I'm super. I think she'd have a hell of a lot of potential.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you for a second there. For
Okay. Yeah.
For like 10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was saying, like I didn't want to I don't want to build her up so she can take a fall. It's not false confidence. Just I think her trajectory is huge if I actually work with her. We might go to IFA, you know, but that's a real tough class. That's a real tough. Yeah. Well, she just turned 12 and it goes 12 to 15.
12 to 15. Yeah. Well, if they start young, you know, I know guys that started arm wrestling at 10, they are so good on table when they got to 20, 25, you know, because all that muscle memory and you just add on to it. And if they have the drive, they are, you know, becoming the best of the best. So what's the landscape in North America right now? Do you consider yourself like the best right arm on 200? I don't know, what's the class, 205, something like that?
Yeah, like 205.
And who would you see as your biggest threat right there? Or at least, you know, someone you want to test yourself against? Because threats and testing are different things.
Right now, I do feel like I'm the best guy. And I think I have history with almost everybody with the exception of Paul Lynn. And I don't like to speak absolutes. I feel like I'm the best guy, but I don't like to speak absolutes when there's no history. You know, zero history. So I'd say he's a contender. A lot of people are saying Dan Moser, but I personally think that that's a great match for me. The way he's built, the way he moves, where he gets in trouble. I'd say those are the two top runners in the States. And then in Canada, I don't really know. People say BLM, but I don't know if that's internet hype or that's reality. I know he's a good puller. I just don't know if he has the power level yet.
Okay. Yeah, for BLM, like when they said the match with Ryan, I really didn't know who BLM was. I had to go and Google because, there's so many guys that are good that when they get tested versus good, you know, they then don't end up being good. So
you get that next little level. You see the highlight reel of dominance, and then you get that next little level when they get stopped, and all of a sudden they look very human. So I don't know where these guys fall. I don't know. You know, I don't know where anyone falls. I just know who I would look at and say these are the top guys that are out there, and I think that's pretty across the board. A lot of people have the same opinion.
Yeah, Paul looks very solid, and he's so nice.
Yeah.
So and he should get a title shot way before Ryan, in my opinion. You know, it's yeah. So
where they both had a match. You know, they've had one match. You know, Paul has. You got to figure now. I've had 5 or 6 matches in the wall in 2 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, Paul's had one. Ryan's had one. Everyone else that's up for contention has had one. Throw them in and see who's most worth. Have them pull each other. Continue the BLM Ryan Bowen match. Have Paul Storm, because Storm's last outing was very good. and then have the winner of that pull each other. And hell, if you want to bring me back in the finals, bring me back in the finals. I was interested in some cross-weight matches just for no hammer implications, just curiosity to pull someone. Your dream match of mine would be to try to settle the score at where I'm at now with, Todd Hutchings. That's always been the thing that, and everybody knows that. That's no mystery. So I don't mind doing some of those matches while the class sorts itself out.
Exactly.
Because I think say, well, Paul's clearly much stronger than Ryan, or Paul's stronger than, like, you kind of need the result instead of speculation.
Exactly. And I'm on with you with that to keep you busy. You can pull heavyweights, or be there, and guys in contention fight out to figure out who is the next man, because right now, we kind of speculating, and we just giving guys the same, and WL doesn't have that much events, and that not enough super matches, so the league would look more versatile. It's kind of, I kind of want to see Jerry versus Michael again, but kind of don't. Because we have seen it, how many, 2 or 3 times already?
3 times, I think. I know. The problem is the North American landscape with the heavyweights that are like, over with Igor and the guys we have, it really does come down to like, I would think it would be very interesting if they kind of shifted the weight class a little bit so you could get some of those Krasny, Marcio into a class maybe a little separated from Michael and Jerry. Something like the 220 class might be interesting because you'll let the 98ers that are on the big side get real big, and the guys that are like 235 get to like shrink down, and you could kind of have a playing ground there and see how that plays out. It could be a whole separate brand new class that, you were the 200-pound champ. Now we're going to have a whole new class and rinse and recycle. And then maybe make a 180 class, like a 180 and a 220, or a 185 and 220. So you kind of get some of the bigger guys, like I'm on the bigger end of the class, Jordan Sill's on the bigger end of the class. So you push us up, Paul Lynn's probably bigger on that class. You push us up, and then guys like Marcio, Krasny, I don't know, maybe Matt Mask would die it down. I don't know how big they are now. And that would be a real interesting mashup. And be a whole separate, brand new year, brand new champion, brand new class.
Yeah, kind of the 3-class system doesn't really work, because if the cutout is 205 pounds, that was the cutout.
That's muddy water, because they'll make the weights depending on how they want to see the match. But the prescribed class is 205.
205, that's 92 kilo, 93 kilo, something like, and it's and then everyone else, and imagine how many are 100, so I agree there. Create something like 110 kilos.
Krasny falls into that super heavyweight category. And who'd he get for matches? He got Dave Chafee in his first outing, which at the time they said people were thinking poor Dave Chafee took 2 losses. This is the unforgiving world of sports. Dave Chafee was considered the best guy in the world because of what he did with Dennis, and he had wins on everybody. And then he gets into the wall, takes 2 losses. Now nobody talks about him. It's an unforgiving world. But Dave Chafee, undoubtedly one of the strongest guys in the game. Krasny has to pull him. Terrible style for Krasny, Dave Chafee. And then he goes into pull Marcio, and let's be honest, when Marcio's heavy and firing all cylinders, I've seen him in Zloty stonewalling right center table on Gorbayev. I've seen him, stonewall Pushkar at the Worlds, where they were in the middle of the table, and he's got wins on everybody. So a good, healthy, and shaped Marcio, that's just a tough match. I mean, so he hasn't really got to get his feet wet.
Yeah, I agree. And now they can, basically. Krasny cannot.
Hoping in the months coming that it'll lighten up. We're all talking the hypothetical that 6 months from now this is all kind of in the rearview mirror. We hope.
Yeah, I get more pessimistic by the month, because I was like, on February, everything should be already open. We would see some. It's so sad just looking at everything. But okay, we I think arm wrestling world still won. We kind of everyone embraced this social media side of it, and from being me and Ryan at the beginning, now there's 50, 100, people doing their stuff, which is awesome. I'm 100% support of it. What they do in Dubai, that's also great because we have never had that much eyes on us on the table. So yeah, for me that was a great experience and really good thing in my opinion for arm wrestling. However it looked, but yeah, it's
Oh
still
no, it looks
sad.
great. I mean, to have somebody on that level to bring, I don't want to say legitimacy because we've always been legitimate, but like you said, to bring that many eyes and to show a guy as strong as Larry and the guys he's bringing in that athletes from our sport, while we don't look like Larry, right? Because that's what people envision as strong and, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, that there are absolute, super phenomenal athletes within the ranks of our sport. And I think it pulls back the curtain on it a little bit, and I think it's done in a very tasteful way.
Yeah, it's the all that the internet hype is like they see Khaled and Levon, they're basically the same level there. Okay, then Schoolboy is the same level there. Someone loses, so we drop down, and now basically I'm in conversation versus Schoolboy to being great. I'm like, guys, I always say like when someone says you strong, I'm like, you don't know strong. I know strong. I'm strong, but I know strong. There's levels to arm wrestling, and it's I think more people will see it, more people will embrace it because now they have this like in their head they have like if I want to arm wrestle, if I cannot be Devon, I will never be number one or Dennis. That's in their head. Like they doesn't matter. Like they will send me pictures with like my length of the forearm here and how should I arm wrestle. I'm like, where you strong, that's where you arm wrestle.
Yeah,
It's
very
kind
hard.
of
Very hard. People say to me too, you should put up videos of training and what lanes to take. And I said, that's kind of what for me, what I said in my video about best training advice. It's really hard to dissect people because you don't know where their body moves or what their strengths are. And just to say, how do I arm wrestle? Oh, just bend your wrist and go. You don't know what someone's makeup is. You know what I mean? You could be sending them down a bad path, and there are a lot of complexities to it. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I say go
yeah.
watch this channel. They've given a lot of information in a lot of hours. That's not me. I can't diagnose that.
Yeah, it's I think we will see huge expansion, and I hope to see it in the next 5-10 years of arm wrestling. That would make it some kind of big. I don't like that we have all these conversations about leagues or promotions hating each other, like Paul and WF, Paul on WL, and at some points, kind of talking down on each other, or you cannot take picture with this guy, and we're already like such a small community. Like I don't even think we would be 50,000 people, at our best day, but and we're still fighting inside. That's just ridiculous.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. It's sad that people don't have the foresight to say, hey, if we all collaborate and grind in 5 years, we could make this huge. We could make this, an Olympic thing, or if we don't want Olympics, we could make this a much more organized global thing that really expands. But when you isolate pullers and isolate, organizations from each other, it's very hard to grow under those conditions. It's a toxic environment.
yeah, I agree. That's toxic because arm wrestling is so easy. Like I said, like I can go to any place, and if I can find someone to arm wrestle, I can just do it. I don't need anything else. We can do it on table. Doesn't matter. And it's been like this for years. And we try to create these rules where it looks like different sports, but it's fine that we embrace some parts of different sports. The UFC is the big comparison, but it's not UFC. We don't have to. We can be friends in the same room. It's everyone usually we'll go to practice and then we'll drink some beer and eat some barbecue.
Right. Right. And that's a part of the sport that
every
I
time.
really love that's missing now. When I first got in the sport, you'll hear a lot of guys saying, I really miss how it was because when I went to a tournament, when the tournament was over, we all hung out, we did things and whatnot. But I feel like so much of it is becoming tainted that we're losing a lot of that. Whether it's because of leagues,
Yeah.
because of motivations, because of trying to create a fake spat so you can get some attention on social media, whatever it is, we're losing a lot of the grassroots of it. And yeah, I'm with you. It's easy. It's something that should be really accessible worldwide, and clean it up and not make it as complicated as it has to be. And that is even on the amateur, on the organizational, on the everyone collaborating level. It should just be. It doesn't have to be so complicated. It could stop overthinking it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need, like, if someone wants to do a league, all their interest should be only one, is making arm wrestling big, giving matches and making arm wrestling big. It shouldn't be about making money, and it's kind of sad because it's kind of behind everything we're doing. But if your only incentive is to make money, you will make some very weird decisions. So I'm always like, just let's try to find the best, because whatever how we do it, whatever match we have, it makes arm wrestling bigger, and it makes arm wrestling bigger, it makes your promotion bigger, blah blah blah. It goes like this. I always love the concept of arm wars, but like, and it was bad because Neil was kind of free agenting everyone. He got people together. We have these crazy matches, and everyone leaves. And if he would just, like, some kind of contract, some kind of pushing, especially in this time, that would be amazing, because it was just arm wrestling in like one of the best formats, one of the purest forms. We always have fun there. I went just one time. I always say always have fun, but it's like we finished. There was huge after party. Everyone's talking, still arm wrestling, and it's great. And I kind of like that kind of promotion because I have been everywhere else, and I can see that we finish up. That's it. We finish up. So.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Neil really had a great recipe, and he took a lot of the good from all the different organizations and athletes from afar, and that was a really special run. And I hope at some point in time he either has more influence in the places that the arenas he's playing, or it comes back, because if we can all just get on the same page, there's no reason that we can't do Arm Wars type thing on a bigger scale. And I think he had a great blueprint for that.
Yeah, I agree. Arm Wars in that, because it was so free. Everyone you could get it, it doesn't matter under what promotion. If your promotion, just go there and have this match. It kind of matters. It kind of doesn't matter. It's right there, and so. Yeah, let's hope the world gets back to some normal form. Yeah, so I wish you all the luck. I want to see you pull, man. I really do.
I appreciate that.
I'm a huge fan of the mindset. Like your mind is gold, and I said it on one Q&A session that I said like RVJ is coming out with all these videos. I said finally someone, because you're like, you show the videos on your favorite handles, and all of them are finger-based handles, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how the arm wrestle. So maybe people will catch that idea, because like, if I do this, maybe I need this, not 50,000 reps on this.
Right.
So
I'm a big
thank you
fan
for
of
that,
not
man.
wasting
Thank you.
time on. I'm a big fan of not wasting time on things you don't do. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate the feedback. I mean, coming from, I've watched so many of you guys' videos, and the blueprint you guys have is, it's wonderful. So getting a little feedback on where I'm heading for just stepping in this game at a whim again, because it's COVID time, and just having some fun with it. It's been an interesting, 2 weeks. So I'm glad that you like it.
Yeah, I really do. I really do. And it's like, a lot of guys trying to do the same. They want to, like, again, we're going to show the exercise or the workout, and you just let's talk about this subject, and everyone's kind of swaying away from that subject. You're like, no, let's talk about this one. I'm gonna explain my perspective on it, And it's so funny when people get offended on what you think, you know, and what you know, because like the whole PED talk is guys who got into the gym and someone said you will never get strong if you don't put this needle up your ass. That's the whole talk. It's you never gonna be this. You cannot, you can. And someone's like, yes, you can. Yes, you will. It just takes time. And in my head, it's kind of one conversation, very no, 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 and other is kind of yes, yes, yes. You know, you know what I'm getting
it
at?
definitely creates a diversion with people. Some people are so thankful you say it, and some people, you know, think you're a jerk for saying it.
Yeah,
But
bullshit.
yeah,
Bullshit.
we all got yeah, exactly. We all got to take our stance and try to just make informed, you know, decisions and not be afraid of the information out there, you know, and keep your eyes open. And the human body is an amazing thing. You don't have to go far to see stories about people overcoming impossible odds or doing impossible things. And, you know, it's just, it's time, it's work, it's having some fortitude, and anything is possible. I don't like to say that, but it is. It's just how, what is your character? What is your makeup? You know, how hard are you willing to push? But these are the same people that the recipe for losing weight is very easy. Super easy. Watch what you put in your mouth. That's it. You know, don't put too much shit in your mouth and you can lose weight. Yet somehow every time a new pill comes out, a new book on how to lose weight comes out, everything other than an actual proper diet, people will prescribe to. And then when that doesn't work in 3 weeks, they'll do the next one. That's why the diet industry is like $1 trillion industry, when it's really such a simple recipe of, instead of eating that plate of nachos, maybe I'll grill up some chicken. Fucking easy, yet nobody wants to. They want easy.
Oh, I say, like, we are lazy. That's the biggest part of it being human. We're lazy, and we're thinking about ways to make our life even lazier. You know, it's everything's already here. We live like kings didn't live as good in 1950s as we are living right now everywhere, you know. So it's kind of is, and everyone's trying to look for these shortcuts, these secret exercises and things like that. And I'm still want to be improving and things like that. And it's in arm wrestling, like I train with Giannis, you know, constantly, and he doesn't move the weights that he did, you know, when he was 15, 20 years younger. He's very close to them. He can reach that level, but he has increased some things that he didn't do before. So he has, like, this vector was weak. He increased that vector, and that builds up whole his game. So everyone was like, how do you feel? Giannis will say, oh, I feel strong. I feel stronger because he's more complete. And that's the idea. That's for every athlete. If you're thinking like the only way is with a needle, the way is building on something that was lacking. If you were slow, if you were weak at this position, trying to get that up because it will bring your whole game up and things like that. It's champions doesn't look for easy way. They look for fixing things. You're trying to fix, you know. We'll bring it all up.
That's the journey I've had to be on. I used to fight the straps and say, because I had such a dominant hand and people would run from my hand, I say the straps are the devil, the straps are evil. And I've had conversations with Devin Larratt, and he's like, you know, you've got to embrace them because they're part of the game and just train them. And coming into the WAL, in the beginning of the first season, I said, instead of people running away from everything else because I feel good in all those places, I'll just get a little more comfortable in the straps. And accepting that and realizing that I still got work to do there, but accepting that and using that knowledge and going forward, I now had a way to take my game up a notch. You know, instead of crying about it and change the straps and take them out of the arm wrestling, they don't have a place, which are all things I've said. But when I've accepted it and I bumped my game, then I got into a place where I was comfortable with them. And every single match of the WAL had deciding matches in the straps. And that was uncomfortable. But that's part of what it is it recognizing it and get to work fixing it. If you think it's easy, especially if you have visions of the person you see on TV at the computer, that you want to be that guy, of course, there's easier routes Everyone's got to put in work, even the guys who do the drugs. I get that, but none of it's easy. I mean, you're going to have to study. You're going to have to be at the top. You've got to be a student of the sport. You have to be.
Yeah, I always say that when you walk out from the practice, it doesn't end. It never ends. It's you still you have to think about what you did in practice, where you worked, what didn't work. How you're going to implement that in next weeks and things like that. It's people don't, again, they want to be lazy. They don't want to get overwhelmed. They're like, okay, so an hour I'm training or 2 hours I'm training. That's all I'm thinking, and then I'm not thinking about it all of my rest of my day. In arm wrestling, we kind of, you're standing somewhere, you're like, how
My wife sees me driving all the time. She'll be talking. I'm going, she'll be like, let me guess, you're arm wrestling right now. I'm like, oh, you caught me. Yeah, I'm doing weird things. I'm going like this out of nowhere. Yeah, it's the arm wrestling mantra.
You see something, some bar or something, you're like testing it out.
Yeah. Everything's a hand you're grabbing. Everything.
Yeah. That's arm wrestling. Yeah, that's arm wrestling. Okay, thank you, RVJ.
Yes, right. Hey, anytime. I'm glad we actually finally got to talk like this. And any point in time, feel free to reach out. If we got any more things you want to run by me, I'm wide open, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Take care. Stay safe, buddy.